Bruce, after Game 3, there was no panic. You felt that the team was right there, even though they were down 2-1. What did you like about your group over the last 3 games?
Well, we found ways to win. Go through each game and kind of revisited the last 2. Today we got the lead, which is good. We haven't had the lead a lot. It was important to do that. It sometimes can change the way a team like Minnesota will play. I'm not saying it did a lot, but it could. They're tough to play against with the lead because they protect the middle well. They don't give up a lot of easy offense. So that part was good tonight, starting that way, and then extending the lead late. When it's 2-1. You hate to see that last goal go in to make it that tight, but that's hockey. They kept pushing. That's it. And then if you look at the 3 games, our top guys were a lot more productive and impactful than the first 3 games, and that's probably the biggest story right there. Goaltender, Theodore, Eichel, Stone, all of them. Go through them. They got better as the series went on, and it showed and kind of culminated tonight.
Hi, Bruce. Jesse Granger at The Athletic. How good was that area pass by Stone to Spring Eichel, and how big was he just all night for you guys?
Yeah, he was awesome in every area. It was like the play, different type of pass, but the play Kiprusoff made in our building to Boldy for the breakaway. I forget, it was that game 2, right? Or 1, I can't remember. It's a long time ago. But it was those plays like that, you just, to do them in real time, and the guy catches a puck in stride with people around is it's just a special talent. But we've seen Stoney do that. He's got a tremendous hockey IQ, even his hand-eye coordination on the 3rd goal. So a lot of good from Stoney, and we knew that would happen. It just took some of those guys a little longer, and that happens for different reasons in every series. Credit to Minnesota, for doing what they had to do, and then a credit to our guys for finding a way. And you move some pieces around, and sometimes that gives guys life. But Jack and Stoney end up together. They're probably what we see for the most part because they've been together all year, and good to see them get it done for us.
Ken Wilkeson, Midnight Vegas, were you surprised that you got as much of that matchup against their top line being a road game?
I didn't know what would happen. I thought maybe if we got the lead, they would kind of form a checking line to play against them and try to get away from that. But I don't know. That I can only react to that if it happens. So, no, I'm not surprised. Or it was kind of head-to-head matchup the whole way. They had their way early, and I think our guys, if you're just going by the stat sheet, right, which I don't always think is, sometimes you convert on a couple and you feel like, oh, they've outplayed them, but that's not always the case. There's lots of analytics, I know, but that's how it played out in the end. And such a tight series that I guess it's probably the biggest storyline.
Ed, Sean, Joe. Ed Graney, Review-Journal. This is the type of game that Adin Hill usually steps up in, these kind of clinching games and stuff. He did so again tonight. Can you just talk about his performance?
Yeah, he was excellent. Got better as the series went on. I think the type of chances we give up can often dictate how Adin's results will be. He's good with the kind of fighting through traffic, box outs, kind of finding pucks and those type. He's a big guy in there. Predictable shots. A couple of earlier games we gave up 2-on-1s and really high danger ones. Now you're going to get some high dangers around the front of the net, but he's pretty solid on his feet. Like even the last goal, he's probably upset I didn't challenge, to be honest with you, because they had a player in the crease. But oh boy, that's a tough one. But if that was first period, I think there was no doubt, no doubt in December, January, maybe even the first period. But that's when he's good with all that stuff going on. He's usually pretty good there, and he didn't really have a chance there. Got knocked off his mark, but credit to them to get around the front of the net. But those are the games, but also the moments, right? He's been good in the playoffs in these kind of crunch time games for us, and hopefully that continues. That's been his playoff resume so far, and he said I'd like it to keep going.
Bruce, is a game like Jack had tonight in this series where he struggled earlier, is that illustrative of why he's so good in the playoffs. And I think there's only 3 American players that have, in such a short time that he's been in the playoffs, that have scored more points. But he did struggle so much, is the way that he's just able to kind of compartmentalize everything.
I can't say that word either.
Yeah. It's hard,
Honestly, I can't. I trip over. It's not that hard. I swear if I say it in 2 minutes. But I think he just can elevate his game. He cares. He wants to be the best. And he certainly doesn't want to hear how someone's outplaying him, right? And he has no... Jack's a very respectful guy. I'm sure him and Boldy, they just played on Team USA, have a great relationship. He appreciates great players. Just don't want to get outplayed by them. So I think there's a little bit of that. He wants to... And I'm not going to say chip on the shoulder. That could have been the case 2 years ago, in his coming out party, so to speak, in the playoffs. But now it's just, he's been through it, and he's got that's internal drive. That's a motor that is not teachable. That's guys have it or they don't. And so that's why it's easy to sit up here after game 3 or 4, whatever it was, say, I'm not worried about Jack. But I honestly wasn't. He's a highly competitive player. I'd be worried about him if he was playing through a serious injury or something like that, right, where he can't get there. He missed some time at the end of the year, and I just think the start of the playoffs, his timing was off a little bit. Then we start chasing games, at the second game, particularly at home, so no one looks good. And that's how I saw it. But I think that's it, and I think that's all the great ones. There'll be a story tonight around the league. Someone's going to have had a really good hockey game. It's probably a high-end guy that just wanted to put the team on his shoulders, but lead, right? Lead that way. Hey, come follow me. I'm going to get it done. And Jack has that ability, and you got to be able to do that with the puck, and he can do it very well with the puck. Some guys do it more defending and whatnot, but he's a guy that can drive it.
Bruce, Jack had mentioned that he felt the Wild gave you guys everything you could handle in this series. Like, what struck you the most about Minnesota and the challenge that they presented?
I agree. I think that they're a heavy forecheck team, so they make you break pucks out. And so the whole tenor of the series is about us trying to hold up, get back, get on pucks, play north as quickly as we can. You still want to execute some plays too, right? So sometimes you got to slow down to do that. And they took us out of our game a little bit that way. So now it comes wall battles if you're rimming out a lot. You're not as clean. So there goes your rush game a little bit too, right? So that's what I thought the series ended up being. We had a half-court offense. We made some adjustments as we went along because they were protecting the middle too. They make it hard for you to get inside. So again, like I said, the rush game ends up not being a big factor, and we're good at that. When we break out clean, we can trap people, get moving. We have centers with a lot of speed through the middle, can make plays. So that's how the series ended up going. So good on us to stick with it. We got better in those areas as we went along. I thought our half-court defense was excellent the other night. Tonight, we give up a goal with 4 seconds to go on a basic D-zone coverage breakdown. Nothing more frustrating for, when they hit a guy. A good play by them, but, that's a coverage we should be able to sort out quickly, that high slot coverage. But after that, we got better at that and tried to limit to the low to high game, box out, get your rebound and go. But that was the challenge. It was heavy. It's heavy. It's not speed. It's more heavy than speed. And, we're okay with that, but I'm sure that's what Jack was describing. You had to really fight for your ice to create any offense, and the scores dictated that, right? The exception of game 2 where I thought we gifted some goals. You have to work pretty hard to score in this series, and I know that's typical in the playoffs, but I thought this was, from my experience, exceptionally hard. But that's Minnesota, and I'd like to think that's us. That's our identity. We want to be that way, and I know they do.